Necromancers. Good day to you, partner. I'm keen, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken kingdom.
Recording, cut whatever.
I'm not cutting anything.
Oh my
This
god.
is grade A USDA beef. I'm gonna serve it right up on my channel.
All
We're
right.
gonna eat it up.
All right. Well, here we are.
Anyways,
It's your
yeah, it's
boy,
your boy Top
Top
Woog.
Woog. All right, let's go.
There's the Skeleton King. I don't even know what Necromancer is anymore. I haven't played one in so long.
Yeah, I don't even know if you know the class. Do you even have one on your account anymore, or what?
I got one on non-ladder. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Wish I had a 99 to be honest, but they're all dead because back then they didn't save characters.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, I got 4 bricked characters on non-ladder because of this open wood bug, so
the bug. They're
doesn't matter.
still saying they're gonna fix it, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
I
We'll
wonder
see.
how much time they're really spending on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
How much time they're spending on Project Diablo 2 at all is a
Yeah,
question.
that's I don't think it's the non-ladder community is pretty small. I mean, so I
That
wouldn't even
is true.
I wouldn't even call it a community. It's basically the PvP players and then me recording boss kills once in a while.
Right. Rathma Bearsork down.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
My bear sork's bricked, so
Oh man. First world problems.
yeah.
So we're gonna do a little recap on the season. I thought the season actually started out pretty well. There's actually a lot of players, don't you think?
It did. I actually missed the first week of this season.
Yeah.
I missed the
I was like
first
20 levels higher than you for a bit.
for a bit. Yeah, you were level 20. Um, but I mean, I came in the second weekend and it was busy. Like, it was
Yeah.
a lot of people. It was interesting. I think the beginning of the season it started out really strong. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because Diablo 4 sucks. The game is not going to function as an ARPG unless they put in trading. That's my stance. Until they have that, or if they have some crazy thing like Path of Exile. But Path of Exile's crafting system is so advanced at this point, I don't think any game should try to match it on launch.
Yeah.
But without trading, just everybody gets the gear they need, and then you just look for those tiny little rolls. And if everybody has all the gear they need, you really have to have a good end game. And greater rifts are not it, which is basically what the end game is in Diablo 4. And their PvP sucks. Maybe their PvP was great. They should have, you know what? That's what they should have focused on. Let's make PvP sick. That maybe actually would have
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with that game is they spent, I think, like, let's say 95% of their time on the story, and it's like,
Which is good, but
eh,
like people are going to beat it in a
yeah,
week.
yeah. And
It's
now,
the same thing that happens with every single WoW
yeah,
expansion, but the one thing good about a WoW expansion is even people complain, they know they're going to get the raid.
yeah, yeah. So I don't
Again,
know.
you're talking about a game that has like 30 years now, what, 23 years of development on it. So it's like the end game is super deep. They don't even have to do that much. It's like just copy paste.
Yeah, maybe in a couple seasons they introduce some mechanic like trading or something else that's interesting and it picks up, but right now there's not much point. People might play reset just to hit 90 or you can hit 99 like the first weekend or something now with this crazy experience thing, I think. I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's not
they
great.
got to have trading. I think one of the biggest mistakes to Diablo 3 was taking away the auction house, as bad as it was, because it was better to have one than to not have one. I will lay on my grave
Yeah, I mean
about that one.
I liked it. I made quite a bit of money that first month.
I, I, I played a monk and was very sad that I couldn't do Act 2 at all.
Yeah,
At all. I literally, the first bug killed me in one hit.
that's rough.
It was rough,
I don't
actually.
remember what I started with. I think it was like the
Probably a
rope.
fucking Demon Hunter if you found
Yeah,
it fun.
it was Demon Hunter because I came
They're the
back to play
best
the
at
Necro
doing Act
later.
2 undergeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, poor me. Always play bad classes. Um,
Speaking of,
so Diablo 4 sucked. We had a lot of players. That was cool. Player base always dies off. The season actually is going on long. But we're gonna talk about Necromancers this season and how well they did. Let's just start off with Dark Pact because like nobody plays it. It's still really, really good, and it might be the best to start off as. Actually, I still think so.
I have not done the start, but I've seen what you've done and talked to Fuzzy and stuff, and it's
Yeah,
it's good, and it's still good late, like you said. It's just
yeah.
you have to not want to kill map bosses, which is fine, and
Yeah.
but to me, it's more people should play
Well, you
it.
can run revives. You
Yeah,
don't have to go full DP.
yeah,
Like the
true.
build works so many different ways because the damage is so good as magic and the curse pop. Hey, there's a couple ways to build it.
Yeah, and more people should play it because with quick cast now, it's not like I see people complain and they go and play Sork and they're going and telling in their staticking and their Nova and something else. Like that is the same amount of buttons as DP, right? Like with quick cast, it's not that bad, and it's great for
Um,
groups because you just skip the DP and you just curse bot. Like it's
yeah.
it's good. So more
And
people,
actually, as we know, you can actually just pop DP in groups and have really high DPS numbers.
yeah,
And if you're in a pug, you might be the best player in it. And pugs can be pretty bad.
yeah. So I think more people should play DP, but
Yeah, I agree.
to
It is really, really good. You can go straight in the maps. You can do Trav pretty well. That's like the lowest density you can do, but you can still do it by yourself.
mm,
And fuck, Eldritch Shank, you can do those in one cast basically, because they just pop out in a group and they all die.
yeah, and that's actually kind of
Uh,
huge for that week or first weekend, first week, just running Eldritch Shank and then Trav with your revives and then
yeah,
reset. You'll make a lot of currency
yeah,
that way.
yeah. I'm all about it. Um, I'll get to chess later. Let's just do the Necromancer recap. 'Cause I
Yeah,
actually do
that's
want
all
to talk
you.
about that
Mm,
a bit. um, I want to talk about Bone next, and the only reason I want to talk about Bone is because I really think Arcane Sanctuary is where everybody should be next season. Remember how I always told people you should map as soon as possible? Well, I still
hmm.
think that's true in a lot of ways. The efficiency, doing certain LOD areas, I think actually makes sense now, and one of those is Arcane Sanctuary, because Ghosts are that good, and of course they have the super chest at the end of all the false paths. And I think Arcane Sanctuary is the best farming area early on.
Yeah, I would say I think two things on that. So one on Arcane, the one season I did light traps. I started light trap assassin, and I did the flat run Arcane. You know that 40-second run. You just run down the one side, reset the game, and go again. I made it. I had my like that's when I got the aura kills. Like I had everything to build like Infinity in the first weekend. Like it was just, it's really good. Like
So the other side of it is,
yeah,
besides getting runes, you also get a shit ton of crafting mats,
yeah,
and you need crafting mats to do Rathma Declone.
yeah, and you get tons of charms. I had full charms set up that
Yeah.
I was able to do. But if we go back to Teeth, Teeth is great there, but Teeth on a very low budget can also do Chaos, and Chaos is still good early, and you can go Arcane into Chaos and do both, and you can make good
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
Because the other side of Chaos,
I,
Chaos is good. It's
I
not
hate to
as good.
crep, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
hate to crep, man.
but I mean, real John will support me, but honestly, doing Chaos, you get a good amount of runes and items. You get all the items you need because
Yeah.
it's 85. But also you get
Yeah.
primeval souls, which you can sell for like a Vex each, which if you just
That's true.
collect them, you can get a lot of currency that way. Especially if you sell them to degens like me doing bossing. So they'll pay
Yeah,
they'll
but
pay for it. So
counterpoint is this: you're not going to kill Diablo that quickly. You
on
really won't.
no, you won't on Bone. It's not
Yeah.
bad, but it's not great. But
No. Yeah.
it is a
I mean, you'll
reasonable,
just get
yeah,
revives, but you
yeah,
won't kill him quick.
no.
Yeah.
But
And then I don't really have much else to say about Bone. I think it's the most boring Necromancer by far because there's no reason to cast Bone Spear. Real quickly, if there was a change you could make, I would make this change to Dark Pact, increase the radius of Iron Maiden. That's just
yeah,
a no-brainer. It should be like a 20-yard radius. Seriously, the biggest radius of any curse in the game.
yeah.
If you could make a change to Bone, what would it be?
I think it has to be around. Oh, great! I got a notification. I think it has to be around bone. I don't know if I want to be spirit or spears, but I want bone to not be teeth. I don't think bone should play around teeth.
Some other spell to
So,
cast for some reason.
so if it
Yeah.
like if it was getting rid of the way like if you're shooting out three, four, or five spears, if you can damage one enemy with multiple spears, I think that would be good. So you'd have to issue with next collide and It'll be
You
a
mean
bit
just remove the next delay?
yeah, maybe the next hit delay it'll be enough for it. They'd have to play around with it.
You know what though? Because we wanted to talk about Innocence probably getting nerfed anyways. If they don't remove next hit delay from Bone Spear, then maybe an Innocence brand something could be too good.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's true. Yeah, we'd have to play around, but
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous to be honest that Bone Necro they level their first skill teeth and that's it. And that's what like Spear's useless. Spirit is beyond useless. Like in PvP people use it, but it's not even that great.
What's
Um,
funny is that you don't even really need to switch to Spirit for single target that
no,
much. Because what Spirit does twice as much damage as Teeth? Is that
yeah.
true? Is it a little more than that? Two and a
It's
half?
it's around that. Yeah, I think it's like 20. Well, it's
Not
like
much.
it's 12k to 20k. I don't even know if it's two times.
It
And
might not even be 3 times.
and
It's
then
not that much.
and
The
why
reason
would
why is that although Bone has next hit delay, the Teeth has a little AoE burst, so it just has better coverage than Spear.
yeah, it's I I'd have to think about how to do it, but maybe you need to add a like I don't know if it's just increasing the damage, giving it like a percent life small amount or something on there. Something to give it
What?
a bit of damage
Uh, I think Bone Spirit should have an AoE.
at the
I
explosion
think it
at the
should
end.
blow up. Yeah.
I what my ideal would be to have Teeth be the starter, Spear to be the AoE clear, and Spirit to be like the single target bossing type ability. That's the way I would want to see the progression. But maybe if Spirit, you throw it out and does a big explosion when it hits, yeah. Put a 0.5 second delay or something on it like Meteor, and you could do something like that. Could work.
Huh. I was thinking more just leaving in a just an AoE bubble and then maybe flame on the ground.
Yeah. Like the Rathma Flames. Like
Yeah.
they have a lot of the stuff already existing, right? So,
Like yeah, well the declone Bone Spirits
yeah.
do it. Why can't ours?
Yeah.
All right. Bone is boring. Corpse Explosion is back. It's
Back.
might be overall. I don't know. Poison Nova is so good because T1s are so easy to gear up to do. But Corpse Explosion is you can do it from start to finish.
Yeah, I'd
It's
say
really nice.
it probably had a little bit more hype than Bone and P Nova this season. Like there was a few of us that
Oh
did
yeah.
P Nova like crazy, but I'd say there was way more CE players and there was a lot of different builds. We saw like the D-Web stuff, we saw the crafted stuff, we saw the Mangs. Obviously I have an opinion what's the best out of those,
Oh.
but we saw like they're all playable and even people
Well,
do
yeah. I mean, well,
yeah,
yeah, because Corpse Explosion just the way the ability is designed is it's going to be playable.
yeah.
I do you think they're going to nerf it?
I think they might, but for the wrong reason. Like so many people play it and it gets the perception that it's really good, which it is good, but people put it to be
It is
like
good.
stronger than
Well,
it
here's the
is.
problem.
Yeah.
Necromancer has the fastest mappers in the game
Yeah.
and multiple of them.
Yeah. But what we'll see with CE is the problem is when they nerfed CE last time, it went down to 0 players. Like
Well,
it was
was it
almost
10 yards,
yeah,
right?
yeah. At 10 yards, lost Trang's fire mastery and it had like no damage, so it was
Well, the damage
unplayable.
was lower too. That one
Yeah.
blew my mind.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if they do something like that again with radius or damage that makes it why play it? Because it's another one that bothers me because you cast Desecrate, you cast CE, you cast CE, so that's 3 casts. If you need 4 casts, you should play DP because you can do the same thing with DP with a bigger radius. So it
Yeah.
it's I think it's a fine line. I think a lot of people have complained about CE being really good, so it might get nerfed, but I think it will get nerfed into not played.
But I honestly think DP is still the faster mapper between the two.
Yeah, it's just
Although
a
there is
stigma. Yeah.
some, it's just there is a possibility that there is a one pop CE build out there. And if that was true, it would probably be faster because doing one pop DP is kind of whack.
Yeah, DP still struggles on some maps, like with corridors and stuff, where if you don't get a lot of mobs and density, you skip it. Like it's just you can't
You
do the
kind of need
damage.
the two curse radius
Yeah,
and damage. Yeah.
yeah. So, but on CE, I saw a lot of cool builds. I saw a lot of people using that corpse. What's that corpse? Corpse Morn armor, even as well, because it has
Oh, on Corpse Explosion. God, I hate that.
but it kind of works only because it's the O skill, so it sets it to 3, but you can still get a +1 2 socket, so it's a +4
No,
2
don't do
socket.
this. Don't
No,
don't. There is.
For,
Skin of the Viper Magi is better. I'm gonna die on this.
I mean, if you're getting faster cast rate from your other items, you don't need the faster cast rate on the armor. Because P Nova did 125 with Bramble for many seasons. Like, it's not necessary to have it. So having a +4 armor, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying a lot of people did it, and you get all those return things, which is weird. But I just say no. A lot of people do it. It's weird, but there's a lot of armor options. I mean, I don't.
Actually, can you hold on for a second?
Yeah,
How's my audio right now?
it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Wow, the
Yeah.
AI is super good.
Yeah.
Dad's weed whacking right outside.
Doesn't pick it up.
Corpseborn. No, no, Corpseborn sucks. Okay, I'm sorry. You don't need the damage. Okay, I'll tell you this: budget early on, sure. After a week, it's too easy to replace with too cheap of gear.
I would rather
If you're
have.
not playing,
I would rather have the Q Hagens and then have them, fix my man after each kill, life after each kill. Like, it makes more sense. But people have done it. So.
well, okay, people do. All right, let's talk about what people do. They think Donald Trump didn't win the 2020 election, which obviously he did. So,
Oh, I'm having
okay.
some audio bugs here. I'm going to stop the
All
screen.
right, Joseph Biden, deep state, okay, reptile people, duh, flat Earth.
Yeah, let's all
I'm
start
sorry,
injecting
walk
light into
around-
us.
No, it was inject bleach, drink hand sanitizer, shine light into people, cut them open and shine
Yeah.
light inside of them.
That's
Oh God, dude, the guy was spitballing.
that's how you stay healthy.
Hey, when you have a brainstorm, there's no such thing as a bad idea. Okay,
He put that to the test. I'll say that.
he put that to the test. Let's cut people open and shine a light in there. You know why? Because the holy light of God will heal them. That's what I'm saying. Anyways,
So to get us back, so what
I
would
know
you?
Corpse Moon isn't good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good.
What
Facts.
what would you change to CE?
Corpse Explosion. I actually want to see a bigger radius and less damage. I know.
Yeah.
Seems weird to say. I want the build to be really expensive, but have a better radius early on.
I
I think
think
the build is like it's basically almost a carbon copy of DP now. Like they play the same. They're almost the same gear progression. A little
Yeah.
different spikes, right? But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's CE's tough because it has like the really good damage. It could get better range, but you get like your have to spec revives, which is really good. But if you move that out of a synergy, then it's just DP, so that's not great either. Maybe moving from amp to LR, so your revives are less good, but you can get more range. I don't know, something. They'll probably just nerf the range and then nerf the damage.
I also think they should put the yard increase back on Martyrdom.
Yeah, that's a useless shield that shouldn't exist right now. So I agree to that.
Useless shield. Wait, didn't we think Martyrdom is broken?
No, like right now you can't use it. Like there's no point to using it without the radius.
No, but on other Necros it's really good.
No.
What was that face? You used it before, weirdo.
I used it like for the proc for the bone armor, like for dagger necro, but
No. You were using Martyrdom on like a poison Necro at one point. I'm positive. No, don't make this face at me. Don't do that.
I'm a Radamant sphere kind of guy, so
Well, that's nowadays. It was last season because the curse resistance. It's got what are all the stats it has?
it doesn't have the
It's
red.
got good defensive stats.
Yeah, it's not.
What?
I don't think it's good. I didn't use it. I think it must have been Knives or somebody because I didn't really do Pinova last season that much.
I was convinced that it was basically as good as Bone Flame, just in different ways. What are the stats on it? Bring it up on your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but
Okay.
so so it has 15% chance to cast level 34 bone armor
Yeah.
on striking, 3 necro, well 2 to 3 necro, 35 FHR, which is great.
But that's it. The F8. Come on, man. And it's got curse resistance.
But it has no res, and it
I
has
know.
no life after each kill or mana after each kill. So the curse resistance is nice. The FHR is
And the
nice.
FHR is really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, but so yes, it's basically you think of Bone Flame and you think of this. The PDR is not too important, but Bone Flame gives you the life after each kill and res. This one gives you FHR and curse resistance.
Yeah. It's different stats
Yeah,
for
so it's like depending on yeah, but it's a really good defensive shield, and it's got +4 on it.
yeah. But it makes like the design still makes no sense to me because why it has poison strike on it with bone
Oh,
armor on cast on
sorry.
striking. I mean it's stupid. But yeah, it's
That's a whole nother thing.
yeah.
Let's go there right now because we can talk about Poison Nova. Poison Nova is really, really good, and it was actually good last season, although it was tough to do a tier 3. Um, the issues with T1s and T2s is the map health on certain mobs was too high. And so I get what Senpai means now, because when you look at that map health
Yeah.
link, you can see what he means that, well, okay, well, some of the mobs now have good life. But that's because I think some of them had way too much health at one point, and now some have way too little by nerfing the entire map health
Yeah.
pool. So yeah, I guess I see what he's saying, but I don't think that was the right way to approach it because now the weak shit is just, you know, twigs, and then the strong ones are still pretty strong.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
comes if you can map intelligently, you can just skip the strong ones. But
Yeah.
overall, I get his point. But P Nova kind of had a lot because it was like you said, doable T3, but a challenge last season. T1
Yeah.
and T2 was okay, but then it got a 16% buff in damage from the synergies, which is pretty crazy. And
It
then
was buffed actually way more than any of us could have ever imagined.
yeah,
And then after all the buffs, they buffed D-Web, right? Wasn't that the last one?
yeah, 16%, and they added one more skill to D-Web, so that's
Yeah.
crazy. And then we got Innocence, which we'll talk about after, which also
Oh.
indirectly buffs it. And then we also,
Yeah.
since those buffs happened, we were able to move away from Bramble and add more Pierce, which lets us do even T3 maps even sooner, I'll say.
Oh, so remember that one guy saying Bramble sucks?
Yeah, I always go back. He
He
was
was
wrong,
he was
but he's
kind
right.
of right. He was well, you know what? That was I don't know, man. Poison's weird because Pierce is really good, but yes, you can have too much Pierce.
Yeah,
And so Bramble is still really good because it's got actually a lot of good stats on it. FHR, life after each kill, poison mastery, and max cold res,
yeah.
right?
hmm
Yeah. Those are all really good stats. And a lot of poison res, which normally you don't need, but normally you don't need it because you have Bramble.
Yeah, I think that's 30
But
fire res too. Because Ral,
doesn't it? Wow,
yeah.
it's actually it's a really good armor.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just this thing is the way we've gotten better at building poison Nova. So how it works out now is yes, Venom Ward was always better, but Venom Ward sucks. And then of course the declone armor, or sorry, the Rathma armor is really good,
Yeah.
but you know you might not get one. But then all of a sudden, like K Jurgens worked, and once K Jurgens worked, it all changed.
Yeah, that's it's
Yeah,
just a substantial more damage now with the buffs we got and how the scaling's working. So it's that open. I mean, we saw every armor imaginable on Pinova this season. Like
yeah. Oh, seriously, Atma's, K Jurgens. I think somebody probably ran Skin of the Viper Magi,
we did see
but there
that.
was more than that.
I was using
Uh,
the Eth Carapace.
yeah, it's Steel Carapace, and then I suggested that people use the Heaven set,
Yeah,
which actually works out pretty well.
yeah,
And then I did the Suzabi set budget.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's
You could
really
do Naj's set.
oh
It's actually really fun. It's actually really cool right now, but I think it's going to get nerfed.
yeah. I think
Um,
it's really fun season for Pinova, but
yeah,
it's
it was.
gonna get nerfed because it's, I mean, it performs too good on the, like, it's so hard to balance Pinova. I mean, Senpai's tried for 8 seasons now, or I guess 7 seasons.
Well, I would like to say one more thing about Pierce and Bramble and us as players is what was it going to be? Right, the damage targets. The damage targets we didn't get right for basically every single season. And so we kept thinking we needed more damage because we weren't very good at figuring out how much damage we were actually doing with Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we know how Pierce works, is our Poison Nova can be way. Remember we used to think you needed 20k Poison Nova? That was season 3, I think.
Yeah.
You don't need 20k, but that's what we used to tell people, right? To do T3. I remember talking to fucking Landis, and saying, "Oh, you can't do it. You need 20k," and he's like, "I'm doing it with 18k."
Like, no.
Right? Wasn't that?
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah, no, it's like
I think
that.
that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, I think there was a mistake as well that was made. Like, I remember that Excel sheet. Of course, I made a million of them, but I was mapping on
And
free
every
map.
single one is wrong, so
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
yeah, okay. And then I was mapping I was making a graph for how much poison damage you needed to one-shot mobs or whatever.
Oh, the
With,
really really old one.
yeah, with different pierce and
Yeah.
stuff. But I just like stopped
Yeah.
at a certain pierce level because it was taxing to do that much work. But like if I would have kept going, I would have saw that like it was Pierce was becoming like better and better,
Here's
right?
just saying.
And
Yeah.
if you look at the sheet, it's showing that. I just didn't bother to take it further. So we
Yeah.
probably could have learned earlier, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. It is
Um.
also confusing because it's hard to judge because of the Pierce makes it damage better and also makes poison last longer, and you
It's
can't really
it's
calculate it.
confusing.
So it's
Yeah.
just you have to play.
One of the other interesting things about poison is Desecrate doesn't have next hit delay and
Hmm.
can have all multiple poisons ticking at once from the Desecrate cloud. Because how poison works is two poisons can actually tick on the same frame,
Yeah,
but after that, only the higher damaging one would take over, right?
yeah,
But with Desecrate and its buggy hitboxes on its cloud, if you spam it, the old one will hit, then the new one will hit, then the old one will hit, then the new one will hit. And so, what was it, like a 50% DPS increase in the end, or higher than that? It was in 60%?
it's effort. Yeah, I
It was
don't
a,
have. It
it
was.
was,
It's really high, and that's
it's really, it made
yeah.
it worth spamming Desecrate.
Mm,
Actually, and it even affected the way you did Rathma
mm,
because it was possible that now you don't need to worry about Pierce anymore because you can just spam Desecrate and run more defensive items.
yeah.
That ever actually work out for you guys?
Um, not
A
real.
little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I
No.
mean, the issue with Rathma fight specifically, which we're gonna probably later, is that their hitboxes for the bosses themselves are so
Oh,
stupidly small that like you miss constantly.
the spam Desecrate doesn't really work.
It works because it makes it hit sometimes, but if you're, it's not
Well,
as
at
reliable.
least we know spamming is good,
Yeah, but like
which is
on
funny because we used to tell people don't spam.
yeah, but on declone that's very valid because spamming it you will see um, does a lot. And also desecrate is very frustrating because like you see it on the skellies in declone. Like if you put a desecrate down and they walk over it, they get
Oh,
poisoned,
I know.
but they don't get poisoned for the duration. They get poisoned for like a short duration. And but if like you put one desecrate down and they all stand there and you keep them in the same spot, they take more damage. Which by how desecrate's supposed to work and how poison works doesn't make sense.
I don't know what you're talking about now. This sounds like deep state conspiracy theory shit.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I
yeah.
don't understand.
Well, like so, like if you put down a single desecrate, and then the skellies
Yeah.
like they're chasing you, you're running around the fight.
Right.
They run through it. They'll take some damage. If you did that
Right.
same scenario, but you stood still, so all the skellies are just standing in that pool,
Are,
they're
so
taking more
what you're saying
damage.
now is they're just getting hit again by the poison cloud. They'll still get poisoned for the same amount of frames.
But
That's what I don't understand about what you're saying.
but they're getting hit by the cloud multiple. Like I think the
Oh yeah,
cloud's
well yeah,
taking
well
yeah
because the cloud will still be there. It's
yeah
that same thing of that hitbox being broken.
yeah
And then I don't even know if there is last collide on it, but whether there is or not, it might touch another enemy's hurt box, and then it will can affect the old one again. Do you
right.
actually know if Desecrate clouds have last collide? They probably don't.
They
Probably don't.
I mean, I can check. I don't know if I want to check on stream or on recording.
You can start doing it. I can talk. I can take.
Well,
I can take care of this. Actually, because I do
I,
kind of want to know.
I'll bring it
The
up
other
once
thing
I.
about poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. is because Topwood will get too emotional about it, so I'm going to talk about this. Is the synergy of Poison Dagger and Bone Armor is actually kind of whack. Although on Declone it kind of makes sense because Bone Armor is a really useful skill to have. It basically makes Poison Dagger really, really bad for a lot of other reasons
Yeah.
because you still need to use Desecrate too much, and then you still need to get Poison Nova, and it basically pigeonholes the build from being a 60-point build to an 80-point build. And then you have less options with revives or golems, which are also really nice for bossing or ubers. And this really affects necromancers because ubers are actually really tough early on. Well, okay, maybe not really tough. Really tough to do efficiently early on. Maybe that's the right way to put it. Like I'm saying, the first couple of days. And then also it still affects, well, maybe not early declone, but early Rathma quite a bit. But that's because Rathma's a little overtuned. And there's the poison for you. So they should change Bone Armor from Poison Dagger back to, what is it, Poison Nova? They took off?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be. Okay, so I will bring this up for everybody. You can't see it, but take my word for it. So
Uh, Wait,
Desic
isn't this what they did with the election in 2020?
you'll see it when you post it. I'm sure you rewatch your videos.
Oh yeah.
So Desecrate has a missile called Poison Explosion
Okay.
Cloud. And
Cool.
if we go into Poison Explosion Cloud in the missile's text, it has a collide type, a last collide, but it does not have a next hit or a next hit delay.
So it does have last collide though. So it actually has to touch another hurt box to originally touch the original.
Yeah,
If there's two skeletons, it can hit this skeleton twice. But if there's only one skeleton, it can't.
yeah,
But that's why the spamming works. Wait. No. Then it must be the individual clouds themselves have to have their own last collide. Maybe that's what Brendan was talking about.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying right now?
I do, because like the missile, I don't know if it's for the overall cloud or it's all the small clouds might have their individual
All the small
missile.
clouds, and I think that's what he was talking about, how it's so broken the way it was designed.
Yeah,
Because technically it still wouldn't work, but it does work because there's multiple clouds that are just, going whack.
hmm,
That's probably a reason why Desecrate can do such random damage anyways, because one skeleton could be randomly affected by two clouds, which will do a bit more damage because of the 2 frames of poison, and then it will reapply the poison duration. Yeah.
yeah,
Anyways, Desecrate, don't use it for mapping.
yeah.
There you
It's
go.
not great.
Let's go to mages because we can talk about missiles. Summoner is as cool as ever. I'm sorry, druids. You are all wrong and stupid if you think druid summoner is interesting or good. If you like it, that's fine. It's it's more boring than Amazon summons. I don't know how that is, but Amazon summons are literally more interesting because there are some options with their skill points. Not much. All right, I'll
Yeah.
say that, but you do actually have some options with them. And the only good thing about Druid summons are bears are a 20-point wonder. The biggest problem is enraged dire wolves completely suck. Spirit wolves are okay, and ravens are pretty good, but you have to recast them. And that's 80 points if you can count. Heart of the Wolverine is pretty good, but there's a lot of ways to get it. And ED is really not that great, as you'll learn as a summoner if you play the game long enough. Poison Creeper is one of the most amazing 20-point wonders in the game. I highly recommend it for anybody, whether you're just playing through to hell or putting it on any single druid build. There is some issues in-game when you play faster that having 3 Poison Creepers doesn't really help you that much, and that's something I saw. That's something they should change about Poison Creeper. Maybe just have one and have a bigger radius, because if you move too quick, they'll all end up porting to the same spot, basically, like summons do. And then they just have 3 Poison Creepers in one spot. Doesn't do anything having 3 of them. And then the last thing is, Spirit of Borb is underrated. It's actually better than Thorns. Not because Thorns doesn't do more damage, ATD. It's because you can actually have a Thorns Merc alongside your Spirit of the Borb. And back to Necro Summons. That's the whole story. That's Druid Summoner is
Yeah,
over.
easy.
There's nothing else to say. I said more than probably I should say about it. They really need the buff in Rage Direwolf, by the way.
Yeah.
It's actually sad. But, all right. And then think about it this way. If Spirit Wolves are pretty good, they're basically about as good as a warrior. You have 8 warriors. You only have 5 Spirit Wolves. And then if Enraged Direwolves are actually worse than Spirit Wolves, you only get 3 of them? What is
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, it's
Just count. I think 8's bigger than 3, right? Is that true?
I
Am I
think-
that bad as an American?
you'll 100% disagree with me on this, but I'll say it anyway.
Right.
I the
Oh, the
only place I'll put it is at in Uber Tristram. The
it's probably because of bears, to be
Yeah,
honest,
and I think it is.
and the Heart of Wolverine.
They have a faster clear than I was able to do on on a necro all in
I
game
still don't
start.
know about in-game, but I could see budget
Yeah.
because elemental damage really isn't that good on Ubers, especially early on.
Hmm.
And then having the access to ED early on, like Heart of Wolverine, is really, really good. While later on, it gets less and less good.
Yeah, and I
So
was
yeah, that 200.
and they're a little bit tankier earlier, and I think the
Yeah,
also
yeah,
resummoning is a bit easier because you don't have to desecrate.
have
Like,
a corpse.
so
Yeah.
there is a little bit of nuance. So that's their place, but outside of that, completely agree. It's not worth your time. But let's get on to
Look, and here's the last thing. If Gust is a .5 teleport, Necromancer's good at 0.
yeah,
Okay? So then there you go on that too. Oh, by the way, bears are actually really, really good. But
yeah,
the cool thing about skeleton necromancers is we have a ton of different builds you can do, seriously, and a lot
yeah,
of them are really, really good. And you can even make bad ones that are probably still as good as Druid Summoner.
yeah.
And then with Necromancer Skeleton Mages, they have their own missile, which is actually buffed. So the skill has just ignore it. They have a missile that is buffed every 2 levels in Skeleton Mage and every 1 level in Skeleton Mastery. Soft points are or hard points. And by the way, that synergy has to be a mistake. But it means Skeleton Mages do a shit ton of damage.
Yeah, and it's like it's weird because like when I originally looked into it, that's kind of what I saw, but then Ren confirmed it. But like it's cl like if you open the files that I just had open there, you can see it clearly that that's how it's written. Like it's like it's an oversight maybe, but like it's also written like it's I don't know, it's very confusing.
I
What?
I could imagine that there might be situations where someone starts doing one project, gets
Uh,
called to another project,
uh,
and either thinks they finished it or goes, "Oh, I'll come back and finish this, but this is a more important thing we have to do." And
uh.
then, you just never go back to it.
Yeah,
Luckily, skeletons are really, really good.
yeah, from it we got great skeletons, and we've kind of always seen that. Like I think
Yeah.
every season we've been a little bit more and more on the mage train, like they're being good. We talked shit about them in season one, two, and three, validly.
And
But that,
yeah, well, the guy who convinced us was basically horny vegan, right?
no,
Because he was the
he's a
guy
shit
doing
player.
his But
Yeah,
wasn't he the guy doing his P8 speed runs? And he said nothing is better than mages?
early.
Wasn't that?
I don't
Remember,
remember
because he did
yeah,
poison dagger, then he respec to mage.
yeah, probably was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But but yeah,
I remember weird things like that.
I think we have a lot. Like skeletons have a lot of
Yeah.
builds right now. Like even for me on ladder, I built that Grimm's mage with Act One Fizz, but using Faith on her instead of but
Yeah.
Purgatory and everything. And I was doing T4 boss spams on it. Like they're good. Like mage is Necro's. I think summon Necro is in its best spot. Will physical Act One Merc get nerfed? Probably.
Let's save mercs for a bit. If you could change one thing to Necromancer summons, what would it be? I would change.
I'll give you a sec. I want to still see a Golem rework because I think Clays have a purpose day one or two, but then nothing. Bloods have
I have
zero
a question.
purpose.
Do you like? Well, blood. Some people put bloods on other builds actually. That's like
For
a throw on. They do. Some
they
people still do it.
some people still do it, but like they
Yeah.
are just like if you picture like a single build as a summon, they are just worse than Clay.
Yeah, man.
And yeah,
But do you like Renato's Golem rework? That's what I was going to ask.
the multiple golem, like his one about
Right.
having like
So
two of each kind
you
of thing.
get
Yeah, yeah,
multiple. Yeah, you get multiple golems from hard points in the golem skill,
yeah.
and then multiple golems from the golem mastery skill. So it's like there's reasons to put hard points into both.
I like it. It will people will be complained because of the fire golem builds. It will kind of fuck up that. So I think we have to play around. I like the
But you get
idea.
less fire golems.
Yeah,
No, the way this build works, you would only get 3 total? I think you'd
Yeah,
only get 3 fire
and that's
golems.
why I think the people that just
Oh, it
play.
actually. Oh,
Oh,
you think you? Oh, the people who want to play fire golem wouldn't like it. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
It would make. It would basically make fire golems, I think, a better addition on other builds, but as like a main build, I think it would just be worse. And I'm not even sure if it'd be better as an addition. I think it would, because then you'd get like a pretty good clay golem, and then you'd get some blood golems, which is just nice utility. But
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
So
And then you get an iron golem, so you'd have 3 fire golems and a dedicated iron golem.
yeah,
So it
so
would be interesting.
it would be interesting. I'm okay to explore that as long as it also comes with reworking clays and bloods to do damage, but also not to be how they are right now, being scaled
I
on
think you
difficulty.
shouldn't touch. I don't think you should touch clay golems for now. I think clay golems are too just kind of good. So maybe blood golems needed a little bit of a change, but if you're going to have that many golems on the screen, I would just leave golems pretty untouched and then change them afterwards.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
because if you went 20 clay, 20 fire, 20 golem mastery with Renren's rework, you would have 3 clays and 3 fires. I don't know if buffing clay would be a good idea at that point.
well, I don't know so much as buffing, because at the end of the day, I'd like to see a buff, but I want them to be reworked. Like, let's say we keep the damage as it is right now, but rework it out of being difficulty scaling and being scaled based on points. Because right now, like, if you have 20 points, the damage they do in normal is different than damage they do in nightmare and hell, right? Because they get scaled based on difficulty. I want that removed and put it into the skill.
I actually kind of like that, and it's only reason I kind of like it is I like all summons being different.
It it's good for that, and it has its purpose of making clays actually really good early hell and having the Trav spammer like Real John likes and stuff.
Yeah.
But it just if we keep it, it's fine. But it just gatekeeps them to only being that good because they're getting so much damage from the normal to hell scaling that no ED or anything you do makes. That's why ED sucks on them, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, it's
yeah, but you could also change them to have difficulty damage scaling and more base damage. So you could do both.
yeah.
It's not like one is exclusive of the other.
It would be tricky, but it's doable. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess at that point, I don't know if it'd be worth it, but yeah, I think one of the cool things about Diablo 2 is you don't want to homogenize everything, because if you start to homogenize everything, you're going to end up in D3 and D4.
Yeah.
Like, I like next hit delay, and like I get what Bubbles is saying, that it's kind of an outdated mechanic,
Yeah.
but that's kind of what keeps Diablo 2 interesting.
It is. It's just like I get.
Well, it
Yeah.
really fucks up some builds,
Yeah.
I know, but
Yeah, like
it
it's frustrating because it fucks up some builds and it fucks up some ideas because like Dragon Claw, we won't go into sins because we were talking about it, but Dragon Claw is super cool that
Yeah.
it procs all your current charges with your right claw and your left claw. So you can get
Right.
6 things. But if you take any of the martial arts abilities, all of them have next hit delay. So the fact that you're proccing all 6 at once, you're not doing any damage from the other 5 charges.
At one point, I
Yeah.
think it did make sense, and now especially now, maybe you could argue it never made sense. Now it completely doesn't make sense
Yeah.
because of what the changes they've made
Yeah.
to Assassins and PT2. So yes, like
Yeah.
maybe they should remove next hit delay on some abilities or decrease it,
Yeah.
but I don't think they should get rid of it entirely, because I just think it's kind of another little layer of depth.
Yeah, I mean,
But by the way, Tornado should be 10 frames. Nothing should be 25 frames anymore.
yeah, 25 frames
But
is
that's
just silly. That's
a
that's
whole second.
yeah. Yeah, that's just
Oh,
silly.
man.
I mean, I have my other problems
Yeah.
with like next hit delay is just the tip of the iceberg because I also get frustrated because if we jump
Yeah.
back on the mages topic, their damage is in their
Yeah.
missiles. Some skills have their damage in the skills category. Like there's no uniform way they coded any abilities.
Although the damage, I believe the damage on their skills that are shown, some of them are right. Although that's not how it works, which is like
Yeah.
also bizarre.
Well,
Did Rimmer say that?
no, he
Well,
said the
'cause
tool.
it doesn't
Yeah, it doesn't
it
scale.
doesn't account for the ED, right?
Yeah,
Or
so
something.
yeah, so the tooltip is actually off by like almost 2 times at higher levels. Early on, it's right, but then it's gonna
I think
yeah
I think what it is also early on it might be a bit lower, because Skeleton Mage, if you're putting points into that, you're not going to get the increase to the missile every time.
yeah.
I think it's like off in 2 different ways. Where
Yeah.
no,
But then
I think it's really off.
and then
You're
at
right.
super end game, it's just very wrong. But
Yeah.
so
Doesn't account for all the ED.
yeah,
You know what I bet? I bet that extra information is only for the tooltip, and so the tooltip gets the 12% synergy, but not the 10%.
yeah,
And anyway, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of yeah. Who knows if they fix
Is that?
that?
Are we done with Necromancer?
So we talked. I mean, it's just if we want to jump into Mercs, really. But we touched everything
Um,
else. I mean,
I touched on
revives,
ACG Druid.
unless you want to talk. I don't know if there's nothing really new with revives that we
Oh,
learned,
they're
I would
really
say.
good. Oh, well, no, there is something new that we learned. Revives. Um, they. I think this might even mean that map mobs are different. I
Oh,
think map mobs don't get DS.
yeah, I think we have to have another whole convo and be prepared for that because that is that whole topic we were going through about reviving
Yeah,
mobs
and
versus
they are so good.
desecrate ones versus mobs
Yeah,
in. Because I think if you desecrate, that's what it was, right? If you desecrate in a map and revive that, they get the mods.
that's the good one.
Yeah, but if you don't, then it's garbage.
If you don't, they're garbage.
Yeah.
So, real quick, this is really important for anybody still watching. If you want to play Broken Necromancer next season, you should go Mages and Revives. You should open up a map, desecrate, and spawn revives from that map, and then do all the LOD farming that you want. One of the cool things about Summon Necromancer is you can kind of do whatever you want, even if it is a bit inefficient.
Yeah.
For some people, it just keeps the game interesting. And then you go and do that map, and revives get nutty. So if you can get what's the best one? They can get the crushing blow modification on it, all of the ED. So if it has an extra 80% poison damage, magic damage. Actually, that one's not good because it's their base damage is so low that the magic damage doesn't really matter. What was the other really good one they can get? I forget.
Um,
I don't know.
I'd have to. Yeah.
Anyways, but I think it's crushing blow is by far the best, and some of the ED mods are
Yeah.
really good too.
And you'd
But
have.
yeah, and
I don't,
what's interesting is I don't think they get Deadly Strike, but I don't know for sure.
yeah, we'd have to do. We should do some more testing on that, and then we should also figure out
Oh,
what the
yeah.
map to do is because, as you mentioned before, the T1, T2, T3 matters. So you kind of want to do a
Yeah.
T3, and then what T3 map desecrate pool is going to have your Moon Lords or Thrashers or something. Like you need to figure out.
But it goes even beyond that because the mobs themselves are unique. So even though T1s are nerfed a lot and T2s nerfed less, like the way the way the mob was originally designed might have an impact on this as well.
Yeah. So it's
So
just.
like Phlegtron, those Cow Lords are actually still really good. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually really interesting.
We need somebody that wants to be the revive guy that's just gonna go
Yeah.
all in on revives next season and figure it out.
It should be Real John.
It's
Okay,
not
Real
gonna be
John, I
me.
know you got no
Yeah.
life. You're watching this. You're thinking about doing you're just calculating in your head about how to spam Clay Golem. Instead, take that out and just put in Revive.
Yeah. Yeah, we need that person. That's not gonna be me
We need
season
that
9,
person.
so
Oh, and
uh
not going to be me because I'm going to play Sorceress next season. It's going to be awesome. She's cute, she's petite, but she's still got a little bit to cuddle.
I'm actually gonna do um following you but not quite.
Paladin.
I'm gonna do elemental fire druid.
What dude? You said that like for 3 seasons now. I swear to God.
I said I was gonna do Fireclaw Bear Druid, which
Oh
I
no.
stopped liking, and then
Are you sure? Didn't she say you wanted to do Elemental Fire Druid for? Not my crazy. It was
I
somebody
I
else.
wanted to do it to
Might have been
start
Fuzzy.
into yeah, Fuzzy did talk about
Yeah.
it, but I've played around
Yeah.
with it now. You can actually get to it's a P Nova type playstyle later with Armageddon and Volcano, and you're just gusting and casting, and you can get some pretty crazy
Well, okay, but
times.
you have a 0.5 second.
Yeah, but your
0.5.
0.5
And you
second
might
is your
like one.
time to cast your Volcano.
Okay, all right. But it's still it's annoying to have a CD on your teleport. It is.
It is. You can't do a double cast
Yeah.
and things like that, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's gonna be where I am. I'm gonna min max that, see where it takes us because like but this is all in the air because if we get some crazy necro buff ability, I doubt it. But I think season 8 was the season we saw it buff everything, and season 9's gonna be taming stuff down. That's my expectation.
Well, they're gonna destroy Barbarian, those guys. Let's talk about mercenaries
Yeah.
real quickly, because somebody just asked in Necro Chat the other day about, Act 5 Whirlwind is bad. I'm sure
Yeah.
Act 5 Might is better. And it has to do with specific applications of mercenaries, and
Yep.
his application was Uber Tristram, and just any melee mercenary is going to get themselves killed. You can't really gear themselves out of the damage. I think you can make it so they survive most attacks, and then if you're like anal, you juve them, and you can keep them alive, because I've done that.
Hmm.
But it's almost not worth your time, and so if you get a ranged mercenary, you worry about it way less, and they'll still do a little bit of damage or keep their auras up at all times,
Yeah.
which is what you really need them for. And then Act 1 Physical Merc is overtuned. I do think, in a sense, she is overrated because Act 3, having minions have 15% less, or sorry, 25% less health if he gets it off at the right time. It's a 20-yard static, right? It's like insane radius.
Hmm.
Is as good. But Act 1 Fizz is just super easy to use, and you can throw it on anything. And Act 3 Holy Shock takes a little less consistent, and also a little less simple to
Yeah.
put into a build. I don't know what I'm trying to
But
say.
yeah, but I don't think we saw someone do it. Maybe there probably
I've done it.
someone's gonna yell at us saying they've done it, but like I don't think we've seen enough people do the Act 3 Holy Shock
It definitely never caught on.
with Beast because you could put all the auras, right? You could put a Beast
I know.
on him
Dude, you can do
with a
Last
shield.
Smite, Templar Smite on him.
Yeah.
And then you could do Beast on yourself, too, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, so
I'm saying you could do that.
you could do
Yeah.
Exile with Last Wish and Templar's Might
Oh,
and
Last Wish. Last Smite.
yeah, and then throw a Griffin's just to get some FCR so he actually
Yes,
casts
yeah.
static. Um,
Or put a Ferocity on for the helm.
yeah, so like you
For
can
the random taunt.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you can do some pretty cool stuff with the Act 3, which I don't think people are doing because Act 1 is so easy to do, let's say. It's
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
slap and go, but I do think if they fix, I think you mentioned it before, but if they fix the magic arrow,
I
then
think
it'll
I don't think even I don't think nerfing her damage. Okay, well they could nerf it just completely to zero. I almost think as long as she has access to magic arrow, she will be too good.
well, I think so, yes, but what the other thought that goes through my mind is that the cold Act 1 Merc and the fire
Yeah,
Act 1 Merc, they shoot one arrow only of their multi-shot elemental thing, right? It's a
yeah,
single fire or a single cold. So either that needs to go in either direction. Either magic arrow needs to go down to a single arrow, which might solve some of that problem. It'll still be really good, but it'll kind of solve a little bit of that AoE spread and proccing less.
yeah, yeah.
Or you give the cold and the fire an actually
Both.
AoE, um, like shooting more than one arrow, right?
I think you do both. I think
Yeah,
having the 5 magic arrow is always going to be too good.
yeah,
Even if you nerf her damage a lot, just having access to that wide of a cone is insane. And speaking real quickly about other mercs and how good they are, Act 5 Whirlwind Merc can literally do the same thing as the Act 1 Merc,
yep.
which is just one-shot everything. Well, actually, it's easier to one-shot everything. It's just, he's a melee guy, and so it's a little harder to see it consistent. But actually, one of the reasons I'm playing Sorceress is to try to do Beyblade, and we'll see if I can make that work. And then Act 5 Might has some. Is he still used on some builds? Because at one point he was.
I have not seen
Maybe
him,
not.
to be honest. I have not
Okay,
seen
so.
it because I think everyone that kind of used it is just using Act 1 right now. I haven't
Oh,
seen it.
right. Or Act 3
Yeah,
and just doing more auras on him, probably
yeah.
with Innocence. And then we have the Innocence issues. Innocence makes Act 3 Merc too good because Act 3 has access to more items, which means more things on striking. I don't want to talk about Innocence too much because I think it is really fun, but it is really broken. I don't know. Maybe you have something to say about it?
I mean, that's really it, is that it's hard to get it in a spot where, like, because right now people use it on their merc or themselves to get proc builds to be useful. And if you
Yeah.
reduce the amount it procs, it makes it kind of useless. Um, so maybe there's an interaction where it's less useful on a merc. I don't know, but that's a tough one for me because personally, I think it should be nerfed. But if I think as a community, probably not because too many people are actually using proc builds now that they weren't using before that aren't that good, but they're usable because you can proc it now with Innocence.
I have a question for you. If you
Sure.
did something like this, which is in certain crafting mechanics in other ARPGs, which cause consternation from time to time, having a really, really high roll, a large range on the roll of Blade Shield. So like 1 to 20.
Hmm.
So that means a lot of Blade Shields will suck, and some Blade Shields will be really good for the Innocents. And you could even, I don't know if they can do a probability spread
Yeah.
in Diablo 2, but you see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
they've had that crafting mechanic, and they kept it in PoE, although sometimes people like get backlash. In general, to craft the good stuff is very small chances.
Yeah. And in Innocence is Zod Gull, I think, which right now is like 3.25, so it's like a 3.25 armor. If it rolled 1 to 20 or for whatever, something,
Yeah.
well, it's 1 to 12 right now, right? I think. It's 8 to
Oh,
12, so
it's
it'd be
8 to 12.
so it'd be 1 to 12 or 1 to 20, 1 to
All
15.
right, you can
Yeah.
even be 1 to 12. And
Yeah.
basically, the reason why that matters is that affects the proc rate of Blade Shield.
Yeah, the FPA, frames per attack on it. I think,
Yeah.
to be honest, that might be a good fix for it. Make that 8 to 12 wider, and people will get lucky. They're going to hit it, but it's less like you build it. Right now, you build it and you don't care. 8 to 12 is roughly the same.
The min max
Yeah,
is for some people it does matter. For a lot of players, an 8
yeah,
is not going to be any different. Okay,
yeah,
it's really not.
yeah. When I have excess runes, I re-rolled it to get a 12. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just didn't re-roll. I just bought another armor and did it. But
It's basically 2 frames,
yeah,
right? From 8 to 12.
I think
It's
so.
every 2
Yeah,
levels. It's 1 frame. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
So yeah, and if you made it wider range, then it actually matters, and you have to think about. It's not just you roll it and your build's done. Does it
Yeah.
mean that if you roll a 1, your
It's
3.25
useless?
invest is
No.
useless? No, because I think you can still proc. It's
You
just
can
less.
still put it on your Act 3 Merc. Now, definitely not for your damage source. No,
Yeah,
I don't think it would. Well, maybe budget it would, but then that's like might be a weird budget. Anyways,
yeah,
it would still work. It would still work. I
hmm,
think it might be cool.
yeah. And the other side that I will go is where innocence, like, the fact that innocence, like, Act 3 is kind of broken because you can put it on with an exile and a ferocity and all these things and a war strike, but
Yeah.
it is a decent investment. Like, you are putting in, like, the 3.25 HRs on the armor, you're putting in a couple HRs on your shield and stuff.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm gonna stop you right here. A decent investment in PD2 is not 10 high runes.
Well, for,
It's not.
I mean, you're not doing this the first weekend or something. Like,
Oh, but I don't know about that. I think it could become a decent investment with a wider range on rolls, but like Exile is what, 3 high runes as well?
yeah, yeah, less,
Something? Maybe a little higher? Less? Okay,
less,
less.
yeah.
So we got 2.5, 3.25. Let's just say that's 6 high runes there. Ferocity is a cham.
Zod.
God. Oh, okay. Good. Zod again, 9. I mean, that's not that much in PD2. That's like the bar minimum for like any build. I think a lot of builds are going to cost you about 20 high runes, and your America's 10 high runes. That's pretty reasonable. Even for anybody who plays the game knows that's not crazy.
Yeah,
They really do.
I would say so, but people, like, I don't agree with, but people complain, like, oh, it's so hard, like, we need, like, infinity, like, oh, how am I gonna get, my build doesn't work till infinity. Infinity is only 6 high runes, 6.25. Like,
And I think all
yeah,
of those people either quit
yeah,
or they keep playing and realize how dumb they sounded.
yeah,
Now,
yes,
now in LOD, I mean, if you really get serious about it, 6 high runes isn't that hard to get, but that takes, trust me,
yeah,
it takes a lot more time and energy
yeah,
and brains to get 6 high runes in LOD because of players 1. But in PD2, actually, this is a great transition to chess. I'm going to make this quick because we've already talked an hour.
yeah,
PD2 has several advantages over LOD. For one, we have players 5 roughly drops. Now, that's not quite as good as player 7. In a lot of ways, it's as good, actually. There are situations where you'd rather have player 7, but it's pretty minimal. For rune drops, I think it almost doesn't matter for most things. Is that right? Like for mobs?
yeah,
I think so. Anyways, it does matter for super chests, but that's okay. They're still pretty good at P5. The other side of it is on plugging, you actually can't change the partied players, and partied players affects other things as well. Kind of like the chance to do a no drop during like a chest cycle. So if you go to a chest, you open it up after the initial 25% no drop, each of the 4 drops has a chance to do a no drop. With more partied players, that gets decreased. So we're 5-5, which is actually like P7 and Pluggy, but It's actually better, seriously, but someone kind of likened it to that. So just think of it like you're playing P7 Pluggy. One of the things that party players really bust is actually sparkly chests. Sparkly chests are actually even better than super chest, and these sparkly chests can be found in a lot of sub areas. So one thing I want to talk about real quickly about farming certain areas is Arcane has super chests. Areas with sparklies is like Maggot Lair or Abaddon, Glacial Trail. What's the sub area to Glacial Trail? Not Frozen River. What is it called?
Crystalline or
Drifter Cavern.
Drifter?
Drifter Cavern, right? Okay, so Drifter Cavern, Maggot Lair, if you're a fire build, farm those. They're actually super good. Now, yes, the density's not too high. The champ spawns are a little off, but it's probably more efficient than doing a map early on for your build because of the sparkly chests. Sparkly chests are literally like killing 4 uniques at once, maybe 5. Every time you open one, you can look at the little chart I had earlier, and you can see that. And then, by the way, the chart I had earlier was actually for players 1, I believe. You could check. It doesn't account for partied players. So sparkly chests are actually like super insane. And yeah, there. That's it.
Good,
That's the
good,
whole.
good spiel.
Yeah,
Well,
good. Good spiel. Anyways, open chest. Not only that, open all of the chests and touch the rogues and open the
Crypts?
tombs in
Yeah.
your maps. Yeah.
I did a little Zon playthrough, and I was doing that because I was playing Royal Crypts and I was clicking a lot of them, and I did, I mean, I found like a couple high runes doing that through quite a few maps. I mean, it's
A
good.
chest is basically as good as a unique. Something like that. It's close to as good. And like a super chest is like well, let's say a locked chest because it's they don't have to ignore the no drop. A locked chest is basically better than a unique, not quite twice as good. And then a super chest is like 2.5 locked chest, and a sparkly chest is like 4 locked chest. Something like that. That's the better way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
By
like
the way, locked chests have 8 drops. Oh yeah.
that's like the one mechanic I have not dove deep into, so I'm letting you talk on that one. I think the only other one to mention was like, isn't it there like the fact that like quivers and such drop magic? That's
Oh
what
yeah,
drops.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Quiver, there are 4 unique mob drops in the game. Is it 4? 1, 2, 3. Oh, 5. 5. Ghosts are the best when it comes to dropping runes. This is just runes, okay? Ghosts have the highest chance to drop runes, partly because they can't drop other metal items. The second highest chance to drop runes are quill rats. I wonder if they actually have the same drop odds, but because quill rats can actually drop armor, it's lower. I don't know why quill rats are that good, but they are. So maps with quill rats and ghosts or areas with those are much better. And then the third best are cows. And this actually we can bring up, cows may be the best way to farm runes specifically early on. Still, even accounting for Arcane Super Chest, I think it's something I don't know for sure. Do I think Arcane is overall better? Yes. Do I think it's possible cows is the best way to farm a high rune? Maybe. So I'll say that.
I would
And that's just because cows have a high drop chance, and the density of cows is actually pretty good.
I
And
would
they're always packed up in a tight group.
yeah, I would say though if you are like efficient at farming arcane, it's just gonna be you'll get more high runes per
Well,
hour.
I think I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
I
I
I've
can't say that for sure. I can say I think Arcane's a better farming area. I can't say it's better for farming high runes only. That's what
I
I can't say.
I would say if you have a build that's doing them well, arcane will be better from what I've done and what I've talked people.
Did you see the stuff that Dominus brought up about how good cows are actually?
I did, but there's a lot of things to also incorporate into your runs of actually one.
Yeah,
Let's say
it's
we'll put together all the maps and stuff. If you have to actually go get the stupid fucking leg, you have to go talk and make the portal. And if you are
it
not
doesn't take
full,
that long.
but if you,
Okay, it
but if
doesn't
you're
take.
not full clearing arcane and you do like the flat side, wherever the easy side you do is, and you TP back, you exit the game, you then talk to Warav, go back to Act One, do the whole thing there to get it done quickly, so you don't have to actually walk through Act Two. Like if you actually speed run that, you'll get more high runes, I think, because you'll be clearing content on average more often doing that than you are
I
in
can't
cows.
say it for sure. That's all I'll say. I
Uh,
think you might be right, but I just don't know. And I was very surprised. I should have known this because cows are so good, but They've been nerfed in PD2, and it's easy. It's basically that symptom of in a community when something gets nerfed, we always overreact to it and assume now it's dead.
Yeah.
Right? We've done that several times with Poison Nova, but then you don't really like stop and wait and go, wait, was this that good to where it's still good now? And I think Cows is that in PD2, where it was so good, and yes, it's been nerfed, and it's still good.
Yeah, and I think that's probably true. I need to relook at a lot of the data because there's the other side of things where people also have the idea that cows are really good, and they also overlook the changes in Arcane of the dropping off the side of the map, which actually
That's no, that exactly.
and
Yeah.
that made Arcane because before you used to wait till the ghost got onto land and then you killed them. You actually pulled it, which was stupid. So
Again, I think Arcane is the best farming art early on. Let's just say that and move on. But subzones are really good because they have sparkly chests, and almost all subzones now are 85. Is that true? There probably is some that aren't.
not
But in PD2, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, a lot of them are, but not all of them are.
Yeah,
Most
all of them
are,
Yeah.
but
And again, if you're in the only 3 items that can't drop in a 83 zone are Angsong, oh my God,
Tyraels.
Materials,
I don't know if
Crown
you,
of Ages.
yeah.
Crown of Ages.
Is D-Web also? I forget if it's.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
See, T-Web, I kept saying that early on.
Yeah.
T-Web is in a high individual item class TC checkpoint,
Yeah.
but the actual unique TC is really low.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you're in an 84 area, you can still drop Mengs and Crown of Ages, but you cannot drop Tyrael's Might.
Interesting.
Interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Anyways, you're not going to find a Tyrael's Might, and if you do, you're going to be really happy. There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go. All right. I mean, I think that's his.
Oh, wait. Wasn't there one more thing we had to talk about?
I don't want to talk.
Bosses,
I don't
real
want to talk.
quickly.
I don't want to do
You
bosses
want to talk
today.
about bosses?
No,
All right.
make another video for it. I have
Talked
somewhere,
about it before.
somewhere
we
to run.
recorded for a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. I just want to say, in general, I do think it was the right direction to take the game. To make bossing
I
more
think,
accessible to every
let's
player.
say the D0 changes, I am happy and it's good. I think it's way too easy, but it's good for most people. The way they've done the ruin
It
sync.
should at least be. It should be harder than Ubers.
Yeah.
I will agree with that.
Yeah, but I think
Okay.
it's really good that it's people don't have to pay for an Annie. They can just get their Annie.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
How the ruin sync is done is
Oh,
not,
that side of it. Well,
that side it doesn't work.
I like again. I said I like that they made it more accessible. The rune sync to increase difficulty and get the item drops has been a mess. Probably a bigger mess now than it was last season. Actually,
It's worse now than it was,
Yeah.
and people just farm. We see it. They will literally do whatever is slightly better. So everyone's doing T4s now because it's just ridiculous. So I don't think that's the solution because they did both at the same time.
Why would you? Well, especially because you're spending 3 high runes to farm something with a 1 in 50 drop now. Is that right?
Well, it's larger. Yeah, it's 1 in 100 or
So
something.
higher
I think.
than that?
Yeah.
I thought it was 1 in 100 before. I thought it was supposed to be low now.
I actually have to go though. I got a call coming in.
Okay,
So
no worries.
yeah,
See you, buddy.
See you, buddy. Cheers.